Okay, just give 1-2 minutes and then we'll start. So what the agenda is, we'll look at the total market cap, look at Bitcoin dominance, look at Bitcoin chart, look at on-chain data that supports certain perspectives, and then we'll look at Ethereum and so on, and we'll look at the USD dollar as well, and look at the broader general market and see what that's potentially could put at risk, and then we'll make our decisions based on those observations. Here's my DXY. So that doesn't seem to work. All right, let's start. Thanks for joining, guys, and good morning to you all, and good evening to some of you. It's nearly 12 afternoon here in Melbourne, Australia, and there's a lot of speculation, I would say, that's out in the market. People getting distracted from the COVID type of FUD that's out there, and my perspective is every time there's a bit of a correction, everyone latches onto something out there that's causing it. And some of it could be accurate, and some of it could be what was meant to be. The Black Swan event, we can't forecast, we can't predict what the markets will do. So there's no point of trying to work that out. If the COVID incident happens again, there's no way of defending yourself from it except putting a plan. And so that's what I want to look at. I want to look at the total market cap and see where the potential risks are. So let's start with that first. Okay, so this is the total market cap for crypto, and excuse me for a sec. What I've done on this chart is the Fib extension, pretty much from this pivot point to there, and we hit the value of 1, which is normally a profit-taking exercise. So, and I'm sure this aligns right directly with the Bitcoin top, all-time high. And that also, and I'll show you soon, hit the extension as 1 as well. And if you people who are new to technical analysis, measuring targets, where you take your targets is usually 0.618. That's usually the golden ratio is a good profit-taking area. The 1, 1.2, 2 and the 1.414. The 414 is usually a milestone. That one is usually a big one. That is usually a big one, and that is as well. Sometimes this can play itself, and obviously the biggest one, if it makes it to 0.618 extension, that is where a lot of profit is taken. So if you're familiar with those numbers, and if you measure correctly with your fib extensions and a few other methods, you got to align to certain things. Can't just assume you're doing it the right way. Then you'll know there's a pullback. And so we had a pullback on the total market cap. And right now, this was all-time high previously. We had that level again. So these 2 points are very important, and we should find support. So when I say support, we can probably have a wick in and out, but we don't want to see daily close below it. And what it comes down to is we've got to draw lines pretty accurately for that. And so I can let me just delete all that on a clean screen. And at this point, it lines up with a 0.5 Fibonacci extension, which makes a lot of sense. We had a retest here. We had another retest. The more retests we have, the worse it looks. I've got to be honest. So that's not looking good. That we retested a few times. And therefore, if we have a candle that closes below it, that's going to be definitely downward momentum for the crypto market. So we don't want to see this. We've got a few retests, and it's not going away. So what happens is, with a strategy, if you keep knocking on the same area, it usually goes down. So that is a breakout strategy. You look at the number of times a level is tested, and this frankly has tested 3 times now. So it's not looking good. And therefore, if I was to see it go below it, I would be concerned, to tell the truth. And how far would it go down? I've got no idea. The next level will be pretty much this fib level here for the total market cap. So the alts, maybe Bitcoin's not copying a beating, but the alts are. And that could be the one that does it. So let's have a look at another chart as well. That's the first thing. That's not a good sign. However, there's no reason why it can't go that way. So you might say, okay, that's a head and shoulders. Well, the head and shoulders are only going to be confirmed once it breaks below it. So at this point, it's not the case. But I would definitely say keep an eye on that. So that's one thing I want to discuss. Let's look at the US dollar, because the US dollar has a lot to do with it. It's a juggernaut, and you can't ignore it. So we can't ignore this inverted head and shoulders, and that's why we had this strong breakout with the US dollar. And now you will notice that this correlates to the Bitcoin drop as well. So let's just chuck the Bitcoin chart onto it, and let's just separate this up. We zoom in. We do have those times aligned. Let's see, so Bitcoin's top corresponds to, you can see that the data's there. Bitcoin drops because the US dollar's pretty much broken out. So what is the US dollar likely to do? This is basically pushed the momentum. I would think there's two parts to this. Let's do a fib extensions. best we can. That doesn't quite work, does it? Let me just pull that down a bit. In the past, we've seen the US dollar, even the US dollar drops, Bitcoin still goes up. And once we saw the US dollar start moving up, maybe we can say that is one of the reasons why it's dropping. I don't think that's the case. And if you've seen my previous charts, the timing is just uncanny. And let me just put the log in on chart. Where's my fib not moving? Oh, definitely there. Come on. I don't know how to do this. Oh, well, let's just do this. I'll get another chart. That's probably the best way to do it. That's just weird the way that worked out. Now, we've taken our profit based on that fib level, which is the golden ratio. So the top was related to the 1.618, and I just can't get that to work, but never mind. So take it from that chart, that is the golden ratio, 1.618. That 1.618, that level there, is the 1.618, which is a normal time to take your profit. At the same time, when we look at it against the US dollar, does it correlate? Not really. So the US dollar didn't affect it in that case, not really, because we hit that golden ratio and price dropped, even if the US dollar drops as well. So sometimes we don't have that correlation. So it makes it very difficult to work out when does the US dollar affect it and when doesn't it. So you can, people have said there's other reasons at the time. I can't recollect what people said as to why the market dropped. And it would have been a lot of bullshit, a lot of fun, because the US dollar didn't affect it. It was a golden ratio and a fantastic uptrend, and you've got to take profit. And the price discovery and new price discovery, the only thing that we have to go with is Fibonacci, and that's basically it. That's what I did, and you can see in the past, it's taken. We had our highs ever so diminishing, higher highs diminishing. So you're just seeing exhaustion, and basically it did a ascending wedge, and that's pretty much it. And we had the same here as well. We had our high diminishing. So we had another nice 1, 2, 3 move, and all-time high. Makes sense that there's going to be a correction. There is nothing about the FUD that's going to cause that. This here, if you look at closely, it hit a fib level as a resistance. We had a line, pretty much, that's acting as resistance from here. That is showing that there is resistance and a drop. So I don't attribute to FUD. It just, the charts tell you that there is logic to why price is dropping, and this is a great opportunity to short. So if we bring out another chart, and this is what I want to show you, here's our, this chart here is all the shorts. And so if we look at historically, as price goes up, actually this is the longs. You can see the longs increasing with it. All right. So as price is going up, people are longing, and it makes sense. And this is liquid, except besides being a key area of taking profit, the longs are going to be closed off. And so the longs are getting closed off because price is dropping. And so everyone's starting to take profit. And as people close their longs, it's going to drop harder. So if you look at it from a perspective, if you take your longs from here, you're going to sell. Wherever you take your longs from, as you go up, you're going to sell your longs, long leverage trades, and that's going to accelerate. So you're selling and selling because you want to take profit or close those leverage, big leverage, liquid, the squeeze. That's what it did. And all the longs had to close their trades. Now, if we look at the shorts, if I bring up the shorts there, you can see in both cases here, especially here, we can see that the shorts are increasing. So this is a good indicator. If we get closer, it's actually a good indicator to see where we are likely to stop having the shorts that are going up. So you can see ever so slightly the shorts are starting to lose momentum. So they're not taking profit, but the shorts aren't increasing. The shorts increased from this level here, which was a divergence, a bullish divergence taking place. So the shorts are increasing, and that's pretty much telling you what the market's pretty much up to. Now it's getting to a point where, if you look at the shorts in the past, it's at a level, you can see that level is important. So are the shorts going to get squeezed at this point, juncture? It's possible. Down here, you can see, look at the shorts here. When the market was very bearish. So the reason why we took a while here is playing with these shorts. The shorts were getting wrecked. Here they shorted all from this point. If you look from vertical, they were shorting. They were shorting all the way here. So those shorts got wrecked when price came here. It just pushed price up, and you can see how the shorts all closed their trades, and that pushed the price up. So you got to think of it from a perspective. If this is going to be the squeeze, this is a level of support, and people have been shorting and shorting. It might be a good opportunity for the whales to push this up and to wreck some of that shorts, liquidate all those shorts back to neutral. Is it this the level, or is it slightly higher? That's what we don't know. So the shorts, again, this shorts chart could help us. That's a level that makes sense as well. Go across. So there's a lot of dynamics to it in regards to what we're looking for in terms of the bottom. Now, charts alone, these charts, traditional charts, can only help us so much. So what I'm going to do now is go to another chart, and basically this is on-chain data from Willy Woo, and he's putting a case together here where it shows you the SP 500 correlation with Bitcoin. So historically we have had that a lot come into place, and so if we were to just move this chart to the side, split it up with the SP 500, and which is the bigger stock market, or the juggernaut stock market. Actually, I'll just do it from here. There's so many to pick from. So this correlation with Bitcoin, if I was to put the trigger, if that was the top for SP 500, that aligns to that level there. So when the SP 500 start to drop, basically the US dollar and some Chinese news as well for the stock market, the SP 500 start to drop a fair bit, and the correlation is pretty much there with Bitcoin. So historically, we've had that in the past, and you can see it. There's a lot of correlation with the SP 500, and in this case, it's no different. It's done its all-time high, and when Bitcoin that the 50K, so when Bitcoin did its 50K, SP 500 did the same up that level. When Bitcoin did its all-time high, SP 500 did the same. Now, this is an indicator that we must keep an eye on. Yep, there was an ascending wedge of some sort, and price is breaking down, but that doesn't mean it's going to continue down. I do think that we just have some minor correction, but we need to keep an eye on it so that if this continues to drop and we continue to see the Bitcoin drop as well, then we can say it's pretty much aligned. At this point, it's just an observation that it's corrected a bit. US dollar has gone up. US dollar affects the SP 500 pretty much, and indirectly affects us. Yes, this is live. So you can ask questions if you have any. Yeah, I'll be responding to any comments because it is live. So looking at the SP 500, looking at the US dollar, which is the broader markets, how they affect Bitcoin. Yes, they do, and it's going to be difficult to navigate these areas. But I would think that as the US dollar drops, Bitcoin. So this bottom left chart here, it does indicate that. Just if we clean it up a bit, if this is a truly inverted head and shoulders, we had a bit of a correction here on the US dollar. We found a bit of resistance this week. Found a level, but I'm sure it's going to find a level of support and potentially go up more and find the 618 as a major resistance and maybe go sideways. So we're going to probably have a range with the US dollar. If the US dollar has a decisive break, then it's going to continue up. So this level, you can see on the left, a lot of traffic, a lot of volume. Historically, this is a band that I don't think the US dollar would just break it easily, but it's something to watch. This is definitely a bottom reversal structure, inverted head and shoulders. If we were to use that inverted head and shoulder target, it's pretty much to this fib level here. And so I do see Bitcoin, the US dollar continue to go up. Yeah, so this, if that's a target, then we have a number of layers as the US dollar continues to go up. And as long as it's not strong movements like this, then Bitcoin is a bit safe. If it's slow and progressive, then it's going to be nice for Bitcoin and the stock market as well. But if it's strong movement like this, like if you look at this, November the 9th or 10th to the 26th, it was pretty much strong every day, if you look at it. So massive green candles continue. So we've got a bit of relief there. But it didn't affect Bitcoin in bouncing back up because the momentum, people jump to fiat whenever the stock market's dropping, and that's the case with SP 500 and so on. Nasdaq, when the stocks are dropping, it's because people are jumping to fiat or gold, and gold did bounce a bit, but didn't continue on. So if we look at this chart, interesting enough, let's look at gold for a sec, see what it's doing. So gold had a nice bounce, and obviously found some resistance, and mate, these trend lines, doesn't surprise me. It's amazing how these trend lines even affect gold. Even though gold is limited in supply, paper gold will do what it does, which is manipulation. So gold has gone up, found a major resistance, now it's finding support, and even though the dollar's dropping, now gold's dropped much more harder, so that's not going to help us at all. But it's worth keeping in mind what the US dollar does, stock markets do, and so on. Now let's look at the on-chain data. And that was basically the correlation. Here we have COVID incident on the left, and the acceleration to the downside. Right here we have Bitcoin and SP 500, and the correlation is pretty much on T at the moment. So we better just keep an eye on that. When we look at this chart, the price of Bitcoin and the availability of Bitcoin on the exchanges is in sync. There is an increasing holders demand, so the holders are continue to buy the dips. It's so on the on-chain data is basically saying the buyer's demand is going. Like you see this curve, it's an uptrend, and Bitcoin is bouncing up and down and all the rest, but the demand is just being accumulated, so it's just being bought up. So the market is bullish when you look from that perspective on the exchanges. So irrespective of Bitcoin price, the stocks are dropping. Bitcoin availability on the exchanges are dropping, so they're slowly leaving the exchanges. So people are taking Bitcoin out of the exchanges and most likely to long-term storage. So there's a buyer's demand, and Bitcoin is being reduced on the centralized exchanges. That's what that's saying. And that's pretty much showing that the holder strength increased. So like I said, the buying is up there, and based on this oscillator, if you look at over the period at that time, it's just an uptrend. So we've sort of found a bit of resistance there. So it's probably at a point where it's slowing down a bit, the accumulation, but the stock is also dropping as well. This chart, you can see previously how when we have these drops, this measure of buying and selling on-chain data, you can see that the times that we had a bearish market or the COVID incident where it just dropped, and you can see how it's measured. And even with the all-time high and the 50% drop in Bitcoin, you see this indicator is showing no signs of being, even though its price is dropping, we are above zero, which is showing that there is a demand and accumulation. So what Willie Woo has said pretty much is that we have probably, I'll highlight it here, he thinks Bitcoin, so here, right here, he's saying a clear bottom forming in the next 2 to 4 days, then consolidation over the weeks of December, and if nothing else, changes are bullish phase in January. So he's looking at this chart for Bitcoin is close to the bottom next 2 to 4 days. So if we look at it from that perspective and we accept that, let's have a look at the Fibonacci levels and where is it likely to be in. This is one of them. And if you look at the charts I've done in our group, this one way, you can say that, what is it, 52, just a bit more to go to the bottom, potentially. Could happen with a wick. But we've seen here that is previous demand. So when price came up, found resistance, but it found a lot of support here. And therefore, we're finding support. So this could easily go like that. We have this trend line that supports that. So this is a very strong level, a good reason to buy, accumulate, or buy, leverage in, or layer in. Good morning to you. So this trend line, and this is the problem I have with these trend lines, we only have 2 points. So we've got one reference, two reference, this is our third reference. And if we to extend this line, let me just do that again. Do this to be honest with yourself, and then what you do is just extend the line and then see if there's correlation. So there isn't. It's not touching anything there, right? So is that line relevant? Well, if I take a log off, you see how the line changes. Now, if we put this line in with the log off, the raw data, it can go a bit lower. And that makes sense to me as well, because it's aligned with the 618 level. So this level, if we don't hold here, this is pretty much the bottom, most likely. Will it get there? So what we have seen historically, this level has a lot of confluence of support and resistance, even that there. So this is a very strong level. So if price was to come down there, it's definitely a buy, and it measures along this trend line as well, which is another bonus. And if I was to add let's add the moving averages. Give me a sec. Where is it? There's my aim. Okay. And I haven't seen. So this is the daily. I would like to see this crossover. I can see a bullish divergence happening here. Same with the MACD. There is bullish divergence happening there as well. If I was to turn the RSI on, the RSI is not quite there, but we can see that we're pretty much below the 50%. So we need to see it go above. This could give us a nice trend line for confirmation in some way. Or even better, this one here. That one's probably better for a positive signal. So if we see Bitcoin break that line, this red line, cross over it, then it's definitely bottoms in my opinion. So this could go sideways for a while, could go down, and to me, whatever, if it breaks it here or breaks it there, to me that is the bottoms in. And even if it goes sideways, it's unlikely to go that way, but more so drift sideways and then go up. If it breaks the 50% level, then that's confirmation, and so on. So I'm using that as a perspective. I like to see this wave trend crossover, but I do see the signals coming closer in and out. And the best one is we want to see this green RSI cross over the 50% on the daily. So if we look on the 12-hour, let's just clean that up a bit. The 12-hour does look like, so it is going sideways with the wave trend, very similar to this here. So that was the bottom in last time, and you can see this going sideways a fair bit. This is no different. So we might just go sideways for a while. Maybe it even takes that long. So there is a bit of a fractal there. You can see on the 12-hour, so if we would just maximize this, you can see how this green moving average was acting as resistance, and I think that was the 200 daily moving average, the green. And very similar, it might act like resistance, and this might be a zone. So this bottom could be it, and that could be, obviously this is a resistance level. Historically that was resistance, so I think we're going to see something like that, and then reverse, and we have our trend line. So we're pretty much doing something. It does look like a good area for accumulation. And like Willie Wu's report said, the data is showing that on the exchanges and the stock is all accumulation, and the bottom is in within the next 2 to 4 days. Give it a week, and I think we'll see a reversal. So if you haven't sold, don't sell now. We're pretty much close to it. And if it does dip, buy the dip. That's my conclusion at this point with Bitcoin. This level right there is a level of significance. Just that tip there, and that is 52,600 or something like that, depending on the exchange you're on. But to me, that makes a lot of sense. If we were to lose this level, then I do have the 50k to 52k, and that's basically this level here. That it can the next level down, and that's my absolute bottom. If we were to lose that, then we're finished. And I don't think that's going to happen. But the reason why I say that is because then we lose the. So this is the higher high, and if we get this lower high below this previous point, that is pretty bearish at this point. Now, what we've talked about is all about levels. So it's all about levels on the daily, and if we look on the weekly, there is no argument that this is bullish at this point. We have not lost the weekly trend in no way. For us to be bearish on the weekly, we have to lose this level. So that's a long way to go. So from a trend perspective, we have lower highs, and even if it's down there, it's still a high. But obviously, you got to draw the line, and I think it's this level here. So you don't want to lose that to that level. Anywhere, if we drop below anywhere below that, it's going to turn bearish, because these levels are weekly support and resistance, and therefore 48k is definitely a warning zone. So we don't want to lose that. Here at the moment, it's fine. Now the psychology of it is, the ones that bought it here, the accumulation, they're not anytime soon to sell. And it's usually retail that comes in around here, coming in late. The dumb money comes in late. Even up here, they come in late. And therefore, they're getting liquidated. And it's them that's selling. The retail is selling. It's not the experienced traders or big money. They're not selling. It's all this retail that's coming late, and those who are being leveraging or shorting at the wrong way, they're getting liquidated. So that's basically what I'm looking at. I'm not looking at the FUD. It's, to me, this chart makes a lot of sense. And if we were to look at this and do the extension, actually, let me just do this. I've got another chart which is better. Just a few things here I want to talk about. If you've got any questions, please ask. Dumb money right here, but not so on. Who's that? I like that line. Thanks, mate. Make me laugh. Okay, so I've got a number of tools here, and I like that. You can see with my charts on the number of ways looking at these charts, all these fibs that I've put out. There is a bit of a bottom there that we're seeing could drop a bit more to this strong support level, which is 52,700 or so. So it wouldn't it would not surprise me for it to slip a bit more. But when we look at some of these tools, for instance, this chart here on my left, and if I just change the color, so over here, if we look at that, you can see this previous support, moving average, resistance, and it's also pretty much on track to being support. So historically, this wide moving average, and that's what's good about having multiple charts. Having multiple charts with different indicators, you can pick up certain things, and it's no accident that this was support here. So if I was just to clean this up a bit for a sec, this was support. You can see that here there was resistance, and here was a support again. So this moving average, and if you want to know what it is, it's part of the, I think it's a pi cycle, is it? Give me a sec. No, it's part of this. Okay, so that white is 100, yeah, so 111 SMA. So this tool, which does the channel, so if I was to broaden it, it's a what do you call it? Golden ratio channel. So it's golden ratio channel, which is pretty much using the 618 formula. Its average, if you can see it, the white line is its average, and therefore the average seems to be working at this point on many junctures. You can see this orange moving average. Historically, it's also played a role of support on the daily, roughly resistance there, doesn't quite touch it. But these two moving averages I really like. See, it's played resistance here as well. So once we lose it, we have resistance here as well. So we've got this, I think what we have is a squeeze in this range. So this chart supports our theory. And going back to what we had before, the fibs, I'll show you this fib level is a 618 from the top to the bottom. So from this bottom to this top, so if we use a Fibonacci from there to the top, it's pretty much aligned with the 618. And that's a weekly. So weekly, that was the weekly support, currently on the weekly support as well. So one more thing, one more indicator, and this is the, I think it's called a Maya multiple, and I've talked about this in the past. So if I was to get the Maya multiple, historically, Maya multiple. So when you look at it, this white line is the moving average, the 200 moving average for this indicator. And historically, what we're seeing was that once it breaks above it, it gets retested, and then the bull run. So breaking the Maya multiple is a bullish sign. Breaking it below it is bearish. And so we broke it before, and then we broke above it. Now, it occurs to me that we might be ever so slightly going to retest it as well over here, potentially. And just like here, and it's not a bad thing to take a correction, and a correction is really good, because if these retests really get rejection to the downside, it's going to go really hard. So before Bitcoin does a real strong run, it needs to exhaust the bottom. And every time we exhaust the bottom like this, it really holds up, and exhausted of the sellers, there's a massive move to the upside, as you can see. And similarly, to make another move to the upside, we need to really exhaust the sellers. And once that's done, which is accumulation, it will move very quickly and powerfully to the upside. So getting the leverage, if you want to see an entry with high leverage, be patient. What we want to see is a strong candle like this, then you go bullish with the bullish candles. If we have something similar to this level on the 2-day chart, where you have two green candles, go bullish, leverage in, and it will keep going. So that is what I would say for the leverage traders. For the likes of spot trading, I would start saying layer in, start buying now, and if it drops a bit more, buy some more, because I believe we are close to the bottom. Okay, so hopefully that makes a bit of sense to a lot of you, and I think that's wraps up for Bitcoin. From a term, if you want to ask the bigger question, what's the target? The bigger target. Once we get going, I do think 78 and 84k to 88k are the levels that we're going to do. And if I was to do it on this chart, just give me a sec. So if we want to be accurate, actually this chart is not the best. Let's look at BTC USD index, which gives us a bit of a history. There we go, that's the one. Should give us history. And for those ones that know Elliott Wave theory, I've been corrected by someone on the internet when I watched their assessment. I always thought that, yep, so what we have is 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're looking for the fifth wave for this cycle. Okay, so that's a cycle, and where's that fifth? What you can notice from a lot of these charts, and you'll pick up on this, if I get the right fib tool. Just give me a sec. Is that the one? I won't use that. I'll use that one. Okay. So what's positive about it is that's our reference point for this Fibonacci to the bottom. And we have the 1.618 as acting as support from this method. Similarly, if we do the same here to the top, so using this Fibonacci setting, you can see that as a fractal, top to bottom, we have the 1.618 acting as support as there. So very, very, very aligned so far. So as support. And in terms of finding the target, we'll get to that. So if this is the phase, if this phase matches this phase, all right, that's what we're looking at. It's aligned. If I was to change this Fibonacci to logarithmic, and this one to logarithmic, now we've got the golden ratio as resistance. Here it overperformed and pulled back really deep. So in actual fact, we have the same. We didn't overperform, but the pullback was pretty much deep here as well, very deep. And along the way, we got a lot of deep corrections, a lot. And this parabolic stage is likely to happen, I think, but very volatile. If you look at this area on the 8 hour, you will see a lot of 20% corrections along the way. So how do we measure targets? Well, each target is local, in my opinion. So if we were to go to the 12 hour, you'll see historically here, and I was to get my tool out, price here, from that top to that bottom is a 30% correction. And from that top to that bottom is a 20% correction. And from that top to that bottom is a 22% correction ever since hitting this level. And this one here, 40% correction. So to get to the end top of the bull run, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 more parabolic stage, or in the parabolic stage, 4 major corrections or deep pullbacks. So if you compare that, besides this deep correction here, which was, let's see, what was that? From there to there, that was 37%. So we had a 50%. This is a bigger one, but we were here for a longer time. So 53%, right? So after breaking the all-time high, it had a 29% correction. Now this is just to get people's mindset right. Right there, we got a 20% correction. And we haven't really broken the all-time high. So I'm thinking that as we go up, we're going to get these corrections all the way through to whatever it is, 100K, even more if it goes parabolic. So the methods that we can use is the Fibonacci, swing high, swing low, and we have the 618 area like that, and the golden ratio, so we're having a correction. No surprise. Like that method works. That's why we had a resistance with a double top really, and then so far 20% correction. What I noticed from a few things historically, if we were to do this from the bottom to the top, was it actually? Yep. If that's our 1, and we measure that level, now we can see a few more things come into play. So I'm just using just this bottom to that top as 0 to 1, and then we have alignment. So we have the 1.272 with this fib level, so that could be a range, next target, and next target, and so on. So as price, so if we were to get a good strong support here, we break the previous all-time high, so we might get a bit of a pullback there, and I think we'll find another correction coming back down, and then so on. And if this goes parabolic, and that's what people expect. At the moment, we're not there yet, but if we're going to see if this line becomes parabolic with the angles. So if we start to see a trend where the line doesn't get broken, this potential parabolic line, rather than a straight line, but a parabolic line, then we're going to be confident. And what we use, like here, you can see how this starts to accelerate. So that's just being mindful of that, where this curve, there could be a curve that we're going to be interested in, and just need to be aware of it. The technique to know if it's broken parabolic is that you do a straight line, connect the tops, and the confirmation is, besides that curve, is if it breaks the upside to this straight line, the resistance trend, and that's when we know we're going to go parabolic. That is the technique that we use, but we need to see this play out before we can understand that this blow off top comes into play. So I'm going to watch that. That's one of the things that I'm looking for down the track to know how to trade that. But for the time being, it's just chipping away, knowing our danger zones. But with the on-chain data and everything else, everything's pretty much saying that we're going bullish. And if you were to ask me, start layering in if you haven't bought, and also know when to exit, as I discussed in the past. So that's what I've got for Bitcoin at the moment. What I'll do right now is I'll look at, see if there's any questions on YouTube, and that's not the case. So far, how long I've been on time? I've been online for, hold on, close to an hour. Okay. So let's look at up close Bitcoin, see if there is any changes recently. Let's look at this. And you can see how these fib levels pretty much align. I did my swing low to swing high, and that was our 618 level to hold. And since we break that 618, I'm looking at the next fib level from this perspective. Just put these in. So the 2 is there, very close to the 2. Just adjusted it slightly a bit, perfect. So we're on this fib level. So let me just make that stronger. And you can see how this ABC correction. So what we had, really, if this is our 0, this will be wave 5. Now we're having an A, B, and C. Or we're having A, B, C. And that's the hard part to work out, all right? We can have ABC correction, that's what we're having, but the point is, what's our reference point? Is it this here as our reference point, or is it down here? And the deeper correction, I believe, I was actually thinking this was our A, sorry, yeah, that was our A, that was our B, and that was our C. So we're going to have this top A, B, C correction. That's not the case, and therefore we have that pocket. If we lose this level, That's the pocket that you buy in. So that's what I'm saying, level in here and then buy in there as well. So if this does reverse, you don't miss out. And if it does drop more, well, it's not much to sacrifice for the reversal. So these are my two areas of interest at the moment. So I have bought in, and what money left I have, I'm going to buy in there as well if it comes to it. So I'm just going to look for the next dip. Look for the dip, buy the dip in the next two to 4 days. Now I do think this will come down. It took, now here's the thing. Here's another thing just came to mind, and I could be wrong on this. This structure is a bit of a height. It's got a bit of it's a bear flag, and in some cases this could be a fake out and just goes like that. All right, so that I've seen this happen in the past. I've also seen come back down again just to liquidate these ones once more and then up. So we've got a number. These two layers are pretty important to me. That we're going to have a few possible playouts. If there was a strong response, and so far there isn't, so I don't think this is going to happen. But if there was in the next day or two a strong response, then pretty much I'll take that as a bit of a fake out, just to liquidate certain things, get liquidity from there. Otherwise, my last thought is, if that's the height, and let me just change that. If that's the height of the structure that I'm looking at, get that height and apply it to the breakout point, which also equates to this zone as well. So this target could be there based on this height. And it's just a normal method that we use. If you haven't used it before, we used a height of structure, of any structure. So we've got this height, and that target is 52K. So it's possible for that dip to come down. And as I said, if you buy here, I would also buy there, equals to 2.272. Also aligns with previous support levels, resistance. So that's going to act like support, along with Fibonacci and so on. So that to me is a good area to buy as well. But we don't know. We're just going to go with the theory and take your chances. You can't get it without risk. You might, for the ones that want to play it safe, wait for price to get this level. So if you don't want to invest, don't want to take your chances, which is a good thing, make sure price comes back up and holds this level on the daily and then starts moving up. So don't do anything, wait for this to hold this level, open and close on the daily on this level, and then you'll be fine. So that's another scenario, and I'll be looking for this type of scenario to put my leverage in trades. This one is all about spot trades, just being a hodler. This one is definitely leverage trades and trying to go big. If you really want confirmation, let it break this level, which is pretty much 60,000. If you want to really play it safe, wait for it to break this 60,000, and then that I would say definitely that fits into the Stan Wyckoff, the Stan Weinstein structure, where we have levels, clear defined levels. This is a major reversal structure, and so if this is the bottom, you want to see this level hold, break, and usually that's this level here is where you buy in on the breakout, and then you pretty much confirm that you're in a good position with minimum risk. So that is another method as well for strategy. If you get in early, you get more rewards. Obviously, more risk. I think we're pretty much close to where we are at the moment, close to the bottom. Now let's look at to my group. I did say do a short here, so hopefully you've taken that. So if you want to join our community, our community is here. The bots there, trade to prosper. Actually, what I'll do is, if you want to join, oops, I'll put that in there into here. If you want to join our community, for newcomers, it's pretty much 10 days trial. So you don't pay anything for 10 days, and if you want to continue on, you get prompted and you can join. So, and that's basically this community here. So yes, there's a whole bunch of charts, and I continuously talk, yap away, and people share their opinion, and we try to keep things to for the community to get bigger. So that's what I got there. So it's something new. I'm trying to get people to start contributing as well. So I'll leave it at that. Just give that plug in, and for instance, like that, I mean, that will pay for it. Me giving you that tip will be enough to pay for that membership. Okay, so that's TRX, and with TRX, just have a look at it. That is my ABC target. There is a slight risk that you might bounce off this level, and so just giving you a heads up that there might be a reversal here, but I don't think that's the case. I think it's going to go down to this level based on this methodology. There might be a reversal here because it's been a strong support area in the past. So this might be a double bottom and going up. So all the better. But anyway, that was that. And I did talk about CRV yesterday. So I said in here, wait for a breakout trade. If it doesn't break out there, and then it's a breakout there, and pretty much, there you go. That would have been a nice short. So these are things I put in our community. I did talk about this breakout, this line. I said buy it, so that's a nice gain. So if you pay attention to my posts, you'll make money. And I'm hoping if you do that, then you can afford to pay the subscription, which is not expensive. So moving along, I'm looking at a number of coins. I haven't had a chance to really look today. This structure to me looks like a reversal, but if we lose this level based on Bitcoin and based on what do you call it, the total market cap, we are bearish at the moment, and we might be able to drop more. So this can be a nice opportunity to short this line. So looking at this structure, it could be a reversal, but we just need to wait for a bullish candle. So if I was to see this break this level here, I would say buy, because that will compete our A, B, and that will be our C, and potentially continue on. We can have this front level there. Anyway, that could be a reversal structure. That will be my breakout trade. Take some profit here, and then see what happens. And if it comes back down, but that is a strategy. So I haven't posted this yet. I will do so, and I'm just looking at charts at the moment. So I haven't had a real chance to look at all the charts. So let's have a look on a few. Okay, so that's okay. So this EGDL on the daily looks nice. So here I'm hoping it's just it's not quite a cradle setup. So I was looking at jumping here, but it's not a good setup for me at the moment. So EGDL is not there yet. I just didn't like the pullback. I'll have a better look at this. It was one of those ones that I was looking for. Let's just continue on. What I'll do is get this out, get the right. Actually, while that's happening, there was. Give me a sec. Where's my FTX account? Is it this one? No, that's not the one. So there's my TRX. Yep, just put that in there. So I'm shorting TRX, like I said, but that wasn't what I was after. Give me a sec. Where's my spreadsheet? Okay, here we go. So for those that outside the normal exchanges, I did talk about in my group, and I've been talking about TrueBit for a long time. And if you followed my path, whoops, let's just do that for a sec. TrueBit, I believe, is going to be huge. So if you followed my path, you're probably close to 100% gain. If you bought that dip, you'll be more. But this is an accumulation for TrueBit, and it's early days. And I think if you didn't have the chance to buy that dip, definitely you missed out. So you can see how that bounced another 30% with that dip. This is early days for TrueBit, and I do see this going. If you look at this, I do see in the coming years to reaching $50 and so on. So TrueBit, look into it. And this was the bottom of it. And if you missed out, you haven't quite missed out. There's still opportunities to buy, but definitely go along with TrueBit. I'm already doubled my money just buying that accumulation area. So that was shared in our community. I better not do that. You'll see too much. Okay, that's not what I was after. Only, yes. Is it only? So this chart here, I'll give you guys a bit of a tip. Go Dex Guru. For those who are interested in finding opportunities here, there's a section called gainers, and you can look on volume, and this is what I use just to measure what the newcomers are and how they're performing, looking at the volume that's been traded on, and looking at the liquidity. So Poly, don't know much about it, but it's on 173% with $32 million worth. That's significant. Probably need to look at another chart, not here, but yeah, that chart's crap. Open ocean. So if we were to go to spot coin, I was looking at Open Ocean for a while. And then we can find out where. So this is going down. Okay, KuCoin. So this is, to me, looks like accumulation as well. Although it's new to KuCoin. KuCoin has a few good charts to go with. I just need to find. I'm not logged in. Okay, I'll just leave that at that. So yeah, I just wanted to show you that idea. Look for the gainers. Look for opportunities from this perspective. Sometimes that works to your favor. But yeah, I just wanted to show you that. If you've got any suggestions on what you want me to look at, I'm open to that at the moment. I don't want to be too long here. So let me see if there's any other questions that people have. Okay. Right. I'm just going to do a quick scan. Let's see, just to fill in 10 minutes and then I'm out. Just look at the USD. Okay. Do we find good structure? No, can't trade that. Stuff like this you can't forecast. It's very difficult. I'll use the 8-hour charts. It's probably better. And just get rid of that. And place an auto. All right. So let's look at these charts. See what's moving. You can see most of it's red. So you can see why the total market cap's pretty much dropping, isn't it? All these are red. So if you've got altcoins, I would say that stick to the strategy that you have in regards to long term. By short term, it's probably safer to go Bitcoin. If it warrants it, look at the pairing. Matic's really doing well, isn't it? So Matic, it does look like a reaccumulation structure. So that right there was our previous resistance. Like when the price comes up, you find a resistance. It's usually a good. So when you have this acceleration, it's usually good to see where there's a point of the first rejection area before the all-time high. That usually is a good daily indicator for the rest of resistance, and obviously the bottom. So this is pretty much a reaccumulation structure. Once you get an all-time high, the first dump is usually a good reference point for future support, like that, and then you subdivide this area with Fibonacci. And try and make it fit that makes it, sometimes the wicks aren't easy to measure. So to me, there's a good opportunity to short right there. If it breaks that level, I would definitely say you want to short Matic. So 2 parts. This level here and that trend line, if it breaks it, definitely short. And no, I don't want to do that. So what we're seeing is probably an ABC correction. So if that's wave 5, we're having A, B, and maybe a deeper correction to this fib level here, pretty much. Because we're in the reaccumulation stages. So that middle level is definitely support. So you might make a bit of a gain just by dropping that. it needs to drop below it. Otherwise, look for the break up to the top. In this range, I wouldn't trade. I would just look for entries for exit and shorting and longing, pretty much. So that's definitely a good opportunity to short if it breaks those two levels. You know, I think they'll continue to go down. So we had a wedge structure there, and pretty much another rejection, a strong rejection. So yeah, that would have been a nice opportunity there. And you can see in many cases when the trend line does break, an example like this was another scenario. If you're watching at the time, I wasn't, but you know, simple rule. Strong move to the upside, all-time high, then there's a rejection. And close enough. Whoops. It's pretty close. Beautiful. Short. Simple rules. Where that goes, well, it's in the middle there. So I would take some percentage of. If I was to short that, I would take some profit here because it's likely to find a bounce. That's the middle. Makes sense. Like if you look at it, that's the best suited line, and you support it with Fibonacci just to make sure you get it right. Yep. So that would have been a nice spot there. Another level of support. And if you break there, again. So to me, this does look like a downtrend at the moment. And if I was to add the 10 moving average, missed that opportunity there. These are all small trades that you can make money. And if I was just to add my MACD, yeah, downtrend is definitely in the play. So at this point, we've probably missed out. But I will use this technique. Keep making trades. Anyway, that's all I got for now. So yeah, please join my community. Please give me a like or a share. And there's money to be made up or down. So all the best, really. I've got nothing else to say because no one's really posting any questions. And I'm not just going to keep going on. It'll be better for you to ask me the questions rather than me just keep waffling on. Here there is actually a bit of a bullish divergence. So this might not go too low. It's going to find support soon, a nice bounce. So don't short here. The shorting opportunity would have been up if it came up to that point there. So anyway, looking at this, there is downward momentum, and just need to learn. And if you don't know how to short, if you don't know how to look for the setups, come to my site. Actually, here's another plugin for you guys. For the newbies, it's my website. If you go to here, free courses, just click on that, and just go through a whole bunch of this. Some of it you might know, some of it you don't. So I'll just give that in for you. You can do that as well for the newbies. Maybe for those ones who want to replenish, you can join that link. Well, yep. There you go. That's the link there. And for instance, if you look at trends, click on trends or the number. So these are the requirements that you need to be understanding the charts, right? So I talk about trends. Just click on it. It explains what a trend is, what the techniques we use, and so, low highs, high highs, etc. We use moving averages for trends, and so on. And there's more examples. So this gives you an introduction up to a point. If you're a paying subscriber, obviously you get more access. But while this is there, you can look at benefiting. And these are the basic 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 things that you need to know well before you have a trading strategy. And yeah, I do cover Fibonacci as well. Some videos I've put there, basic stuff, how to take profit, how to work out how to make profit, just basic stuff. And for those who don't know, but yeah, and for those who want to look at a different perspective, have a look and enjoy. So I'll wrap it up there, and have a good weekend of what's remaining, and I'll talk